Hey, thanks for joining me again. This right here is Tiffany. She's a former coworker of mine and now just a really good friend. And she invited me to go to an air show. She had an extra ticket and she told me that she knew that I was one of the few people that she knew that would enjoy it as much as her. So she invited me, and what a great experience it was. I cannot speak enough about it. I took a whole bunch of pictures and videos. I just got done editing them together. It went from almost an hour worth of footage, and I got it down to about 30 minutes. So there's going to be some parts where there's me talking over it, but a lot of it's just going to be the sounds of the air show. I want you to hear the sounds of the jets to kind of mimic hearing it in as much as you can. There's nothing like seeing these things in real life. But before we get to that, we had the parachute guys jumping over us, and that was fun. But when this was going on, we had somebody start singing the national anthem, and so I figured it would be respectful to listen to that because I'm filming this on the 4th of July. So let's listen
The ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Okay, so as you can see, my friend Tiffany here, we had great seating. It was a place that was right up to the front gates of everything. So these are just shots taken from my phone where the jets are just a couple feet away from us, like being across the street of your house. They're just right there. F-18s, F-35s, and of course the Thunderbirds, the F-16 Vipers. It was so neat. So there's so much going on here. I almost don't know where to start. Like I said, there was so it's an air show, and there's all kinds of airplanes, and there were these some other like prop airplanes doing stunts, and there's some footage I got of some of these guys doing these crazy, incredible aerial stunts where these like biplanes, which is not what we're looking at, but the biplanes coming up here later that just can do some of the most insane maneuvers. But before all those got started, we got to go walking around, see some of the planes that were parked out there. And I'm telling you, I like just seeing the size of some of these planes. This is like an air tanker refueler, I believe. That's why it's got that tail section out the back of it that's kind of different from a regular plane. But they're just so big. And like this one, you had the opportunity to go inside of it. There was a big, huge line, though, and I didn't want to stand in line in the heat forever, so we just kind of skipped by that. We got some F5s, I believe they are, like the bad guy planes. This is a front-on view of one of them. The bad guy planes from the first Top Gun movie. So that's another one there with the kind of the tiger stripes. Really fun looking, really cool. And we just kept going, and there was a whole section of World War II airplanes, and I'm particularly a fan of World War II airplanes. This is a B-25, I believe it is. I get an option here to go under it and see the bomb bay, which is significantly smaller than I thought that it would be. But this is just like, I think, a medium-sized bomber. It's not like a B-17, one of the big ones. So not a lot of space. I was kind of surprised. Right next to it was a Japanese Zero. And this was such a neat little plane. I mean, I'm kind of surprised at how small they actually are. So this was really fun to get to see up close, and I took a bunch of video of it. I like to see the engine and the propeller, the engine and the propeller, all the fun stuff with this. But then I wanted to get back to the B-25, and they had some steps that you could go up. So I got to go up the steps and look in the cockpit, two-seater. It's incredible how small it is. No space at all. It's crazy. That's a shot down the tail of the plane from the top of it there. And then another shot here, just looking out across the wing. Love these old World War II fighters. There wasn't too many of them there, but I wanted to take a look at all of them that I could. Then there's this giant plane. Sorry, I don't know what it is. I thought it was interesting how just the breeze that's blowing is turning the turbines in the engines. That was kind of fun. But then look, this is one of those planes where the front nose of it opens up. Look how high up the pilots are, which is regular for like a passenger plane too, but to have this giant machine that can open up and take in supplies, jeeps, vehicles, things like that. So we also got the opportunity to walk inside it, go in the front and out the back of it. Had to go inside one of these. How often do you get the chance to go inside these machines? I was just enamored by how big this thing was and getting to walk up it. And again, it's like, you're surprised at how much space is inside there. Like, it's very spacious. I imagine like being on this thing in the air, walking around on. It's got to be a really surreal experience. So this was really fun to get to walk through. It's one thing to see these things, but to get to touch them or walk near them or be inside it, actually, really, really fun. So got to kind of wander through this thing for a bit and then come out the backside, had the tail down. And then again, once you get outside of it, we're all very careful to like make sure we don't slip and fall down and ruin our day. But then once you get down to the bottom and then you look up at the giant tail of this thing, it's just so big. It's so interesting to see these things up close at this scale. It's really awe-inspiring. I was just really watching my footsteps so I don't fall down here. But yeah, just walking out from under the tail of this big plane and just how big this thing is. It's just so huge. The camera doesn't even really do it justice. It's pretty wild. So, yeah, massive plane. And then we get back up front. I believe some of the show is about to start. So I just want to take some footage of these airplanes. F-18s, like you see in Top Gun Maverick. Awesome planes. And, I was never a huge fan of them. I like the F-14 Tomcat. I like the F-15 Eagle. But I got to be honest, getting to see these F-18s up close like this, they started it up and taxied it right in front of us. It just gave me a whole new perspective on this machine. It's so big. It's so awesome. It's so pretty. And they're about to go up and do some maneuvers in front of all of us. And so I'm probably going to stop doing my voiceover for the parts where they're actually flying. I thought for a second when he turned his tail towards us, because we're so close, we might like feel the engine thrust. But I think he kind of killed it and let his momentum take him forward. I don't know that for a fact, but we were so close. I thought, oh God, we're going to feel that, that engine exhaust coming at us. But we did not. I was kind of surprised. But he just kind of, gets out there, swings around, and gets going past behind these F-35s and getting ready for takeoff. It's so fun to see these things maneuver around. But like I said, here in a bit, I'm just going to stop talking and let you hear the jets fly around.
This aircraft didn't
So yeah, those F-18s and those maneuvers they do, just feeling the power and the roar of those engines. This thing it was doing right here, a couple of the jets do the same maneuver where it's got a high angle to get the airlift, but just the thrust to keep it in the air. It's just kind of like hovering there. This is in real time. This isn't slowed down. That jet that goes zipping by super fast is just doing like a slow pass, and it is so cool to
done with a lot of rudder, a little bit of fuselage lift.
And then of course here it comes.
We're close to the end. It's good now, not
And then these are some of those stunt planes. They got the trails going behind them, and they do some of the craziest maneuvers, if I'm remembering everything here. They got those the smoke trails coming out from behind it, so you can follow them easy, but then you can also kind of track the maneuvers that they do. You can see all the little wiggling and waggling that the smoke trail does, and they get so low to the ground. Like, they'll be inverted upside down. They pass each other at close range, do crazy fast flips. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm there to see the jets, but these things are amazing. These pilots are so skilled. It's kind of hard to believe that they figure out how to do these maneuvers and doing it in a controlled manner. And so I kind of recorded this whole little bit. Again, I don't know what the designation of these planes are. I'm not like a super jet nerd or airplane nerd like that, so I don't know a lot of these kind of smaller planes, but it's still incredible to see what they can do with these things. I mean, look at all these crazy things that they're doing, flipping around. Like, how do you keep yourself oriented? How do you not get sick or lost or confused? The skill that they've got in doing this is just, it's so fascinating. It's so neat. And look how low to the ground they get. Zoom right by, right in front of all those beautiful jets. But man, these little prop airplanes, these stunt planes, they're putting on an incredible show too. Look at them spinning through the air again. God, this was so fun to see. The whole time I was here, I kept thinking how my boys would have a great time. The only thing they wouldn't have a good time with was the incredible heat that we were under, because it was almost 100 degrees this day, and that was kind of miserable. Look at that thing. Oh my God, it's so excited to even just to watch. But like I said, there's nothing that compares to actually seeing it live. Like, this footage is one thing, but seeing it live is a whole other thing. So then there's kind of a break in the show, so we got to go out and look at some other things. So they had another F-35 parked where you could see it even closer, and they got the cockpit kind of, covered up inside there because it's super hyper secret. They don't want anybody to see what's inside the cockpit, but you can see the outside of it. And the F-35 is not the prettiest plane ever made. I mean, you look at the Tomcats, the Eagles, the Vipers, this thing, it's kind of okay. But, and this is an F-16. I could actually go up and touch it. I was telling my friend, let me go up and touch it. This one, the A-10, I was actually surprised at how big it was. I thought it would be smaller than it is, but it was like bigger than the F-16. It stands really high off the ground. I was just surprised seeing one in real life. And so it was really fascinating. But the thing I really wanted to do was look at the gun. If anybody knows about the A-10, like this giant gun, they basically take this massive gun and they build the plane around it, because the whole point is to carry that massive gun. And I wanted to go right up to the front of it and stare down the barrel of one of these giant guns. Wish I could tell you what the exact designation of it is, but I can't remember at the moment. But I kept thinking, I wanted these other guys to get out of the way. Come on, guys, move. I want to stare down the barrel of this goddamn A-10 gun, which I did get to do right here. What a crazy shot. I mean, those things are cool. Then it was about lunchtime. I got this thing. I mean, of course, they have all kinds of hyper overpriced food, but it was all good. And this barbecue sandwich was one of the best thing I'd ever had ever. It was so delicious. Had to have a break for some food. While I was doing that, they had what they call Tora Tora Tora. It's like as much as they can, a recreation of Pearl Harbor. There is 4 or 5, I think, Japanese Zeros out here flying around, and one American P-40. The planes that were some of the planes that fought in the actual Battle of Pearl Harbor. And there was like sound effects going on. The planes had smoke trails. There was even sound effects as if the Japanese Zeros were firing, and they even had like little smoke bursts as if they were firing their machine guns. It was really neat. I hope that you can hear this and my voice recording over the sound of the actual show. I don't know how well it's going to work, but this was fun. I was kind of a bummer because I was sitting back under the shade because the heat was getting to me a little bit, so I had to, kind of pace myself. But this was fascinating. Me, who loves the World War II stuff, seeing these airplanes zip around like this. I mean, hearing the sound of those piston engines as opposed to jet engines. There's the P-40, I think, was right there, just chasing that Zero. There was smoke and explosions. It was one hell of a show. I mean, an exciting thing on its own. So, if you ever get a chance to see something like this, I highly recommend it. Please go see something like this. Seeing it with your own eyes, nothing can compare. And then you have these airplanes out in the distance, and they're going to cross paths, and you know they're not going to hit, but you can't help but be like, oh my God, don't, careful. And then here are those stunt planes again. That's that biplane. Look at them just pass each other within, like, I don't know how close. It feels like it's just a matter of feet. It's so crazy. And then here they go again, way off in the distance, and they're like going right towards each other. Look at that. And I know they know what they're doing. You know they're not going to hit, but like it's not impossible, right? It's so exciting. And then there is the rocket semi-truck. Look at that thing. I mean, I know that my little boys would have just died to see that thing. They would have loved the jets and everything, but to see the rocket truck out there, and then there goes the airplane zipping by it, they're going to have like a little bit of a race. I didn't get the best shot of it when it actually happens. You'll also have to forgive my finger dropping down in the way sometimes. But this rocket truck will go zipping by, and then an airplane will come by as if they're kind of racing, and then there's a big explosion in the background. I didn't catch it all, but right here, boom, boom, and you see that fire? You see how far away it is? You can still feel a wave of heat come at you from that. It's so far out there, so far away, but that wave of heat just washes over you. And you're like, holy crap, did you feel that, guys? This was another incredible thing. The F-35s went taxiing right by, and I used to be right up by that front gate fence, but I was back here under the shade, so I just hurried and turned on my camera and zoomed in. Had to get these things, but I wish I would have been closer, but again, I was kind of pacing myself. Those jets, not as cool looking as some, but they're pretty damn awesome machines. I mean, they're amazing pieces of technological, machinery. So this is, it's an F-35 and a P-51 Mustang. It's like the premier fighter of World War II with the premier fighter of today, doing side-by-side formation flying. Really awesome. It's kind of just neat to see these two, machines from different eras that were deadly machines in their day. And then, let's see, what do we got going here? Oh yeah, right. So the F-35, it's up there doing some maneuvers, and they do some crazy, just high-speed passes and turns. They launch off their flares, you can see in the distance. It's awesome because if you notice at the beginning of the video here, the sky was kind of cloudy, but once it got to the jets and stuff, the skies just cleared. It was a perfect clear day. It was just super hot, so that was kind of miserable, but it's all worth it. Again, forgive my fingers in the shot there. I don't know what the hell I was doing. Boom, that explosion in the distance again. You feel that wave of heat coming right at you. Whoosh, just washes over you. It's incredible. And then again, that F-35 just zipping around, doing some maneuvers. I think we got it taken off into the sky really high here. Yep, shooting off some flares, arcing around. It helps you keep track of it, because sometimes you lose it up there, you lose it in the sun. It's just a little speck because it can climb so high. I have no kind of reference for what kind of altitude they're at, how high they are, but you can lose them, so they launch those flares off and you can then again, just them zipping around. I mean, it's just more of the same, I know, but doing some barrel rolls, it's so great. See them flipping around like that. It's just a simple maneuver, but it's so fun to sit there and see it. And then this was another one of those maneuvers like the F-18 was doing, but I feel like this jet's doing it even slower. It's got its nose up just enough to, get enough lift and the engine going to just have it's as close as it can come to just hovering there. This isn't one of the variants like the Navy carrier variant that can actually hover, but this one's just kind of like floating there in the sky really slow. It was so neat to see. It was mind-blowing. Then it's time for the Thunderbirds to take off. Revving up their engines, and they're going to take off kind of one by one, and it's all done in a kind of choreographed manner to show the precision and the expertise of these pilots. It's at the absolute best you can find. And so you see they'll all take off and, you know, go in order, and it's so fun. It's so neat to see these guys take this performance, this coordinated precision performance in jets. These are like the best pilots. It's so fun to see. So yeah, the Thunderbirds, it's just incredible. I know I've said it, I'm just going to keep saying it. The precision of these maneuvers, to fly in this diamond formation, to go so high up in the sky, to be flying just mere feet off the wing of the guy next to you. It's so crazy. It's so fun. Look at this. It's just, I don't even have the words to say it, to explain it. It's so fun. So they just keep going. Rocket right over our head.
In review.
Don't mind the hot photographer girl. She was just right in front of my shot of the jets. Fast is coming in. then look at this guy going so high up in the sky, and then well, it's all of them. You know, it's a group of them, and just arcing back. So fun. I wish I had something else to say about it, but they do a couple more maneuvers coming up here, just some, you know, formation flying, staying together, and then separating and doing some really cool stuff. There's some really neat stuff to cap off the show. Yeah, that looks so fun. That looks so great. And look, here they are. They're doing that slow pass kind of hover mode. I think that F-35 did it a little slower. Probably just, I don't know if it's because it's a newer machine, a newer plane, better control surfaces. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But they all can kind of do the same thing. And these Thunderbird pilots are just outstanding. And this right here, it took me half a second to realize what they were doing, but once you figure it out, you're like, oh my God. And then they form this shape with such precision and make it so symmetrical. The artist in me was like, wow, well done, guys. Artists in the sky.
Give me fire, give me that which I desire.
And that shot right there of them spreading out, so great, so fantastic. And this giant shot of them going way high in the sky. They're gonna they went straight up together, arced out in different directions, and then they curved down here in a moment, and then intersect down again at the bottom of this like loop, and they all pass each other. And I like how they coordinate, what is it, 5 different jets, you know, all passing in kind of the same spot and avoiding collision. I don't know how they do it. Watch it right here. Yeah. So crazy. And just follow this one guy up there. And then they come in for a landing and, you know, lined up in kind of the same precise, exacting order as they took off. Just an absolutely fantastic, incredible show. So I'm about the end of my video here. And so I just want to thank you, Tiffany. Thank you for taking me to this. This was like one of the greatest things. I knew I would enjoy it, but I didn't know that I would enjoy it that much. And getting to kind of be there with someone who knows everything, knows where to go. You've been to something like you said, you've been to 17 different air shows because you've kind of grown up since a kid loving this type of stuff. You made it a lot of fun. So thank you for taking me. It was quite the adventure. I certainly am going to make an effort to go whenever I can from now on, because these Thunderbirds, and you know, if I ever get a chance to see the Blue Angels, I would do that. The only thing that sucked was that we had to like hoof it like a mile plus to get back to the car. It was either that or stand in line for a shuttle bus with this massive line where it would have taken us an hour. So we walked it back, but we made it and it was fun. So that's all I've got for today. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll get back to our regularly scheduled comic book programming tomorrow. So thanks again and see you then.